All right, I think we're live. Awesome. Okay, guys, welcome to the Team Phoenix call. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening to make it here. I do not think you will regret it. This is going to be totally worth your time. We are very fortunate to have an awesome guest speaker tonight. But first off, let me introduce myself. I'm Megan Eggleston. If you don't already know me, I am the leader and founder of Team Phoenix, but I am not going to be speaking to you tonight. I'm going to pass this off to our guest speaker, Brittany Leggett. This is a huge privilege and honor for Team Phoenix to hear from Brittany. She has been a very successful coach. I'm just going to read off to you a little bit about what she's achieved in her short time coaching. She's really not been coaching a terribly long time. I want to say it's under 3 years. Yeah. So Brittany is currently a superstar diamond coach. That is 15-star diamond. If you're not familiar with that, that's incredible. That's extraordinary. That's the top rank in the company. She has 27 lifetime diamonds across all 3 of her business centers. She is as far as the leadership ladder is concerned, she's an executive leader. That's the top rung on the leadership ladder. You can't go any higher than that. She is a Success Club 10 All-Star Legend, meaning she has achieved Success Club 10 for 24 consecutive months at least, I'm sure longer. And she was 5-star elite in her first 11 months as a coach, top 10 last year, and is currently holding a top 10 spot for 2015. So wow, right? Like we've got a lot to learn from Brittany. So I'm excited for her to share her time management tips and success tips. So I'm going to pass it off to Brittany and let her take the stage.
Awesome. Wow. Thank you so much. Hey guys, nice to see you. Let's see if okay, there we go. Now I see myself. Perfect. Hi everybody. It's been so fun. I just got to know Megan just real briefly recently at a Super Saturday here in Virginia Beach. So it's been kind of fun to follow each other on social media and kind of pick up on each other's sort of styles. And so we kind of touched base and thought about swapping team calls. So anyway, thank you for having me. I hope and pray that I can add just a little bit of value to you tonight. I've done quite a bit of research and studying and trial and error, a lot of error and some trial when it comes to time management, because not just me, but every coach in the entire network struggles with this in some way, whether it be family obligations or other jobs that we work as coaches when we first begin coaching, or maybe it's hobbies, or I don't know, it could be a ton of different things, or maybe it's just we're not naturally all that skilled when it comes to prioritizing our time and time management. So a little bit of a backstory of me. I became a coach in January 2013 after I found my coach on Facebook. She didn't find me, I found her, and it was because we shared the same wedding photographer. So that goes to show you that people are looking for this opportunity. It doesn't have to be somebody that you find, but it's just so important that you're doing both. You're both inviting people to come with you, but you're also walking the walk and talking the talk on your social media. So if somebody happens to stumble across your Facebook page or your Instagram or whatever, wherever you build, that it's very clear that you do what you do, and gives them an opportunity to kind of do what I did, which is reach out to my coach, who's Lindsay Matway, which is very unlike me. She was a complete stranger to me before January. I didn't know who she was, and the only reason I reached out to her is because we had that common friendship with our wedding photographers. I went to her Facebook page and I saw that she had just finished P90X, and I had just restarted it for the 3rd time. I bought P90X from an infomercial like 2.5 years prior. So it was like 2011, 2010, 2011. And I quit 2 times. And so I was a newlywed in January. I just got married like a year prior. I gained quite a bit of weight my first year of marriage. I was away from family. And I was just really feeling like a quitter. I was working as a nurse, loving the nursing field, but really feeling like a hypocrite, you know, when I'm teaching my patients wellness and prevention and trying to promote healthy living. And here I was not following through with anything, eating I always tell my coaches, my team this, but I have such vivid memories of this. I don't know if you guys have things like this, but I felt like such a hypocrite because I was eating double stuffed Oreos on my couch like 3 times a week. And it's so weird that that sticks in my head, but that's what really made me feel so guilty. And more than the guilt, I just was tired of quitting. I knew that there was something in me that I could follow through with. I knew I could live a better life than what I was living. You know, that discomfort in your fitness or in the way you're taking care of yourself tends to spill over in your relationships or in your attitude or in your outlook. And so that's what I was feeling in January. So my coach could have told me it costed 3 times as much, and I would have said yes, because I was ready for change. So that's kind of how my journey began. As a coach, I worked full-time as a nurse, as I was still a coach. Identified with my husband what I needed to make in order to come home from my nursing career. And it wasn't all that much because we were prepared to really tighten up our budget and really live on basically 1.5 income in order for me to pursue this, because even though I love and respect the medical field a ton, I knew that I wanted more flexibility and freedom for my family. And so what that meant for me was, while I was working full time, I needed to figure out a way to still make some headway in my business, to still gain some momentum when I was working 12-hour shifts, 3-4 times a week. So anyways, that's kind of how this bloomed. That's kind of how a passion for this topic kind of bloomed. And I do think that the nursing field, I don't know if there's any other medical professionals here or anyone that works in that style of career, but I do think being a nurse did help me learn skills to prioritize, because as a nurse, you have to prioritize a lot of different tasks all at the same time. So I do think I carried some of that stuff from one field to the other. So I'm excited about kind of passing that on to you guys tonight. So let me go ahead and move towards screen sharing here to make sure we are all set up. A couple slides to show you guys. Okay, so the entire topic, and I see Megan on the bottom, so if something goes haywire, just flag me down. So the whole purpose of this call is for me to share success habits that you can apply now in your business that I fully and confidently believe will really help you to make some headway towards your family's goals. And so I can tell you with full assurance that I did nothing fancy. I had no CRM. I didn't even know what a CRM was until about 3 weeks ago. I had no fancy website. I had no idea what a like page was. I didn't use super fancy stuff to gain momentum in my business. I truly used my personal Facebook page. I started to put some public YouTube videos up from my growing team. And honestly, that was the extent of it. I've had Instagram, but you know what, my Instagram page is basically copying what I posted on my Facebook page. So there was no thought, there was no hashtag search, there's no robots involved. So I can tell you that I truly built momentum in my business with my personal page and occasional YouTube videos for my team. So what I think made the most impact in developing this momentum was really the habits that I developed. It wasn't the software that I used or the platform necessarily that I used. It was more about the daily habits that I practiced time and time again. So that's what I want to talk to you about. So speaking of habits, we know, we've probably heard this quote before, but habits, the good ones make you and the bad ones break you. And so I want to ask you this question tonight for you to be thinking about the habits in your life. How are your habits working? Are they working for you, or are they working against you? And I know for me, even still to this day, I know I have quite a few habits that are still working against me. That I've got to be conscious of and I've got to be aware of so that I can start to develop new habits that will work for me. So just keep that in mind. The good habits will make you, but the bad habits could break you. So how are your habits working for you? So in this team call, in this little presentation, these are the key points to me, the key ingredients of building successful habits. And I feel I'm pretty passionate about these few things here. So I want to just kind of give you a snapshot of where we're headed in this team call. So the key ingredients to me for building successful habits are: 1, putting your family first; 2, the intentionality that you bring to building your business; 3, the urgency at which you bring to build your business, the urgency that you have in building your business; 4, that concept of eating that frog, which is a Brian Tracy thing. If you're not sure about that, it's a classic book you can order on Amazon, Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. And then I want to share with you 2 things that I found in the last probably 3 to 4 months when I was researching time management tips that have really made a difference in my business hours. And so that's the Pomodoro technique and the Parkinson's law. So I'll come back to that slide in just a second, but what do I mean when I say that one of the key ingredients of building success habits is putting your family first? So this concept was something that I've always believed in, and I'm sure all of us have this, have sort of this mentality that we always want to prioritize our family. But whenever I read Gary Vaynerchuk's book, Crush It, and heads up, he's a little bit, what's the best word? He swears a lot. So if that offends you, just a heads up for that. But when I read Gary Vaynerchuk's book, Crush It, he sort of put into words what I had been trying to find for so long to explain to my team. And this book, Crush It, there's a lot of great stuff in there. But one of the most important things that I took away from it was putting your family first is so important in your business. But when somebody says putting your family first, that doesn't necessarily mean you bypass the work to sit down with your family. Sometimes when you're putting your family first, sometimes that means you stay up 2 hours after bedtime to get the work done, or you wake up earlier to get the work done in your business, because when you think about it, loving your family is working your business, because you're working your business for more freedom and flexibility with your family for years and years and years to come. So I try to always talk to my coaches about that, because when it comes down to it, I'm not going to ask anybody to do anything in their business that makes them feel guilty or that they're doing the wrong thing when it comes to their priority as their family. But I just want to encourage you to maybe make a slight shift in mindset when you think about what it means to put your family first. To me, that means sleeping less. Putting my family first, that means sleeping less and working harder, because my family is why I'm doing this in the first place. So love your family, do what needs to be done, and stop, and I'm talking to my old self and my current self, stop wasting time and see the clear connection between wasting time on, let's just say, scrolling through Facebook. I want you to directly correlate the news feed scroll, aimlessly looking through the news feed. I want you to directly correlate that with taking time away from your family, because that's exactly what it does in our business. And the bigger our businesses get, or the more our team grows, or whatever kind of growth you experience, it's true, you do have to get more organized with your time, because before you know it, you will have a lot of time wasted if you don't kind of I guess the best way I'm trying to say that is, if you don't keep an eye on that, before you know it, you're working 12, 14, 16-hour days. And I can say that from experience, because you want to be a good leader, you want to lead well, but if you have areas in your business where you're wasting time, I promise you the people that are going to kind of pay for that is your family. So I want you to just be encouraged to be motivated to figure out how you can stop wasting time, because what that means is that you have more time to spend with your family. So being intentional in this business is so key. Being intentional basically to me means don't wait for things to happen to you or in your business. You can't wait for, let's just kind of burn this down. You can't wait for challengers to come to you, asking you when your challenge group is. We can't wait for prospect coaches to come to us asking if they can join our team. That would be a perfect world. But don't wait for things to happen to you. Be intentional about what you're trying to accomplish in your business. And sort of what I mean to kind of back that up is to take a stand and to do what you know needs to be done. And when I was doing a ton of research on, not a ton, but I was just doing some research on some with some high performance professionals and what they do for time management. And they kind of explained this concept of monkey brain, and you can call it monkey brain or monkey mind. And basically what that is something that I'm sure every mom can relate to, and any busy person in general. But monkey mind, it means you have too many ideas or tasks on your brain. And so all of a sudden you have all these things on your mind, and then nothing gets done. And so you have good intentions, but because you have all this stuff kind of crowding your brain, none of it actually gets done. We don't follow through with any of it. And so that's a big problem in our business because we have to take action in order to see some momentum and some progress. So be intentional. Don't wait for things to happen. Narrow down the behaviors that you need to be doing in order to reach your goal, and just get out there and do it. Be intentional. Take a stand and do what you know needs to be done. So that urgency. So remember, what we're talking about here is how to develop these success habits in your business, in your life. And so we've talked about making sure your family is first. So that might mean, let me go back to that. So putting your family first. For you, that might mean business hours that you work. For me, that meant non-business hours because I don't have kids at home. So for me, that meant I need to intentionally not work at certain times in order to keep my family life balanced. But I know some families need to establish some business hours, and I can't tell you what's going to work for you. I think most of the time you just have to do trial and error and see what works for your family. But loving your family and putting your family first means that you get a little bit more structured with your business hours. And so then there's intentionality, and now we have urgency. And so the urgency aspect is really, really important. And a funny example that I have is, and this, I always have to say this because this is not to discourage anybody who has a goal or who has reached this goal in a year. But when I joined as a coach, it was January 2013, and I was doing the Chalene Johnson's 30-day push program. And, in that free online program, she has us identify our big push goal. And the way she describes that, and sure, you guys can describe it better than me, but the way she describes that is for you to identify your one giant goal that would be amazing for you to accomplish 12 months from then. And for me as a new coach, January 2013, I set my push goal to become a Ruby coach by December 2013. So that was my big, big, big goal. And obviously I had no clue what I was doing. I had no idea what Ruby was or what the time frame usually took to get to Ruby. I had no clue. And there was zero urgency in my goal setting because I was unaware and because I was scared. So those were the two things that kind of made me set that goal for 12 months from then to become a Ruby coach. And so there was no urgency. And so the most important tasks in our business have to come first. And so that's what this whole Eat the Frog concept is. If you haven't heard of it, it means that in order to make some headway toward your goals, we've got to organize our schedule, our daily schedule, so that the most important tasks come first. And, for our business, you might equate that with, doing a morning workout, not pushing, if you at all possibly can, not pushing your workout till 10 p.m., doing it the first half of the day. Or you might even kind of dwindle that down to your invites. If you've set a personal goal to send out 5 personal invites a day, maybe you tell yourself, you know what, that's got to be done first. Before I go into my challenge group to check in, or before I go into my team page to check in, I need to send those 5 personal invites out first. So whatever the most important task is for you, depending on your goal, that's got to get done first. And that takes discipline, because most of the time, the only reason we don't do that is because we don't want to. We don't feel like it. And that's, I know for me in my business, I know I still struggle with that. But if you can create a habit and practice putting the most important tasks first, what happens is when you do that, when you've done your 3 vital behaviors before 10 a.m. or whatever it is, then when life gets crazy, when chaos happens at 11:30 a.m., you can check out knowing you've done your most important tasks in your business first. You can have full confidence knowing that you've done a great job of doing the behaviors that are move your business forward, even though life happens and things hit the fan and you've got to kind of shift around some things. But versus the opposite of that, if we say, oh, we'll do it tonight, we'll do it later, then things get crazy, and you know what happens? We never do it. And then before we know it, it's been 5 days since we've invited. So have that urgency and create maybe like just a little Post-it note on your computer. Like identify a few tasks in your business that are the most important things, and discipline yourself to practice doing those things first. And a lot of the stuff that I was reading and these case studies, these experts are all talking about focusing on building the new habit. Don't worry so much about getting rid of the old habits or the bad habits, because we all have basically a pile of bad habits, and we don't have very many new good habits yet. But instead of focusing on the bad habits, just focus on the new habits that you build. And before you know it, those new habits, those new positive habits, they will replace the old habits and the bad habits. Then there's they didn't call it this, but I renamed it booty in the chair philosophy. And what this means is essentially it's this philosophy where you just keep your butt in the chair and you do what is most important in your business. You commit to the behaviors that are most important in your business. So when your booty is in the chair, it means you're sitting down, you're at your computer, you're at Facebook or whatever it is, you're sending out invites, you're responding to messages, you're posting a challenge group invite, you're posting an invitation or sharing something about the coaching opportunity that's been really impactful in your life. That's what booty in the chair is. It's focusing and committing to actually doing the things that are moving your business forward. So that's that booty in the chair, not waiting, not waiting for it to maybe just happen, but you are intentional, you have urgency, and you say, you know what, right now, 10 a.m., I'm going to get a post up about my coach opportunity call that I'm doing next week. So you have urgency and you keep your booty in the chair doing the things in your business that are most important. Okay, so I want to talk to you about a couple things that I recently came across that I've been implementing in my business and my team has been implementing in theirs to help you become more efficient with whatever time you have. It doesn't matter if you have 8 hours a day to work your business or a half hour a day to work your business. If you do this consistently, you will definitely work towards your goal and accomplish your goal. So the first thing that I've researched and that I've found is the Pomodoro technique. And so this technique is, there's a tomato there because apparently that means tomato in Italian. So that's where that comes from. So the Pomodoro technique is all about improving our productivity. And so the way this works is when you are working in your business, you're in your business hours, let's just say, and you've got a task that you need to complete. And so you look at this task and you think to yourself, how long is this going to take me to complete? If I was focused on this task, how long do I think this will take me? And so the tasks that I kind of mind now in my business, they're more like creating a challenge group invite or creating a coach training group invite, or maybe it's doing a video for my team, or things like that, or maybe refreshing my challenge group template. Like those are the kinds of projects that I kind of think of when I'm using this Pomodoro technique. So you look at the task and you say to yourself, okay, how long is this going to take me if I was focused on this? Okay, so let's just say it's going to take you 25 minutes. So 25 minutes, you set a timer and you start working on this project. And so the whole concept, the whole idea is that you're working against the clock. And so all of these studies have been shown to have been done and show that when we're working against the clock, that small extra layer of urgency and accountability make us more productive. So what's going to happen if you get it done in 50 minutes and 25? Nothing. But you have this 25-minute timer that's kind of holding you accountable and preventing you from wasting time getting distracted with other behaviors. So you're working against the clock and the timer goes off. Let's just say you're not done with the task yet. When the timer goes off at 25 minutes, you have to take a 5-minute break. That's the whole Pomodoro technique. You have to get up away from your computer and you've got to take a break. Get a glass of water, stretch, pet your dog, whatever it is. And you've just got to take a 5-minute break. And so then once the 5 minutes are over, you come back and you do another round of 25 minutes against the timer. And you do that until the task is complete. And so I've done a couple tasks in the last couple weeks where it's taken more like 50 minutes or 75 minutes, been a little bit longer. But no matter how long the task takes, you break it up into 25-minute increments with a 5-minute break. If you do 4 of these 25-minute kind of timer sessions and you've completed 4 after the 25 minutes on, 5-minute break, 25 minutes on, 5-minute break. If you've done that 4 times, then you take a 30-minute break afterwards. And what this does is it helps you to focus on the task that you're trying to complete. It creates this urgency, and it really does help you get it done in much less time than you would have if you weren't working against the clock. And so the last little piece that I recently came across when I was reading and researching what things I could try with my team to kind of get better with time management. This law came up, and this is that law of Parkinson's law. And I'm not sure if you've heard of this law, but it's fairly simple and something that we're all probably already aware of. But what this law says is that work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. Meaning if we give ourselves an hour to do slides for a team call, it's going to give us an hour. It's going to take us an hour. Or if we give ourselves 30 minutes to create a challenge group invite, it's going to take us 30 minutes. So those are the things, or like, let's just say the team call slides. Let's just say I gave myself an hour and then it took me an hour. But if I gave myself 45 minutes to do the exact same task, I would get it done in 45 minutes. So that's what this law is saying. Whatever time you give yourself to complete it, that's how long it's going to take you. And so the studies, the case studies that they did showed that as the length of time allocated to a task became shorter, the task became simpler and easier to solve. And I know I can relate to that in my business. I don't know about you guys, but I can relate to that because, you know, when I give myself one small task, all it takes is a small tangent, and then it becomes this giant project that I had no intention of entering. You know, like I think of graphics, for example, when I'm like welcoming like a new coach to my team or something, I'm making like a little graphic, then like I get distracted and I'm like, oh, maybe I should create 50 graphics so that I don't ever have to create a graphic again. And then it becomes this giant complicated task. And so don't give yourself that much time. Give yourself a shorter deadline so you keep it simpler and you get it done. You know, I found some really cool tips when I was researching these laws, and I found that some of them we already kind of do. So this was kind of the wrap up of the Parkinson's law, but it said to create artificial limitations, because if you create these artificial limitations, your brain will associate that with urgency and a deadline. And so some examples of these artificial limitations are to work without your computer charger. You know, take your laptop, fully charge it the night before, and leave the charger in the other room and work against your laptop battery. And so force yourself to get stuff done before the computer runs out of battery. Or of course the Pomodoro technique, where you're setting a timer for 25 minutes, taking a 5-minute break, and then coming back to your 25-minute timer. That's another way to create some more urgency and reach your deadline. Force yourself to move every 2 hours, which we kind of already know is productive. Work from a to-do list. Instead of running, this was a good one. Instead of running X miles in a day, challenge yourself to run X miles before 10 a.m. Or instead of inviting 50 people this week, set a goal to invite 10 people before 10 a.m. every morning. So really, and Chalene Johnson really teaches this reverse engineering, but I thought this was a great way to kind of just kind of layer on top of that. So instead of just get as specific as possible with your goals. And then the other thing that I think is really important as you're building your business, it is so key. I'm not sure exactly what you all teach in your teams, but I know for me, something that I learned, that it is so key for us to commit to answering our inbox within a certain amount of time, whatever time you've decided for your family. So in the beginning of my business, it was 24 hours. As my business has grown and as the inbox has gotten a little bit more crazy, it's more like 48 to 72 hours. But whatever you decide, I do suggest giving yourself that deadline of like, I'm going to get my inbox. I'm going to make sure I answer, or I at least kind of see what these people are talking about within 24 hours. But some good guidance and some good advice I can give you about your email is to limit a task like answering and responding to emails to a certain amount of time per day, like 30 minutes a day. Set a timer, because we know if we get, it's the same thing that we've been talking about in these last 2 slides. If we give ourselves all day, we agonize over how are we going to respond to this email or that. Am I saying the right thing? Am I saying too much? Just give yourself a 30-minute time and just trust your instinct. You know, of course, use the skill that you've learned when you're talking about inviting. Like, of course, be smart about it, but don't agonize over every email, because before you know it, your whole day will be, you will be kind of sucked into always responding to people instead of moving your business forward. So I want to show you a couple other things, but I want to give you these closing tips before I stop screen sharing. So, some closing tips for you, and some things that I've just implemented with my team, and I've seen success not just with myself, but with coaches on every level in their journey. So I know this will help you if you try it out. Now, my journey with time management has been just that, just a journey, trial and error. Pomodoro might not work for everybody. It might drive people crazy, or working without your laptop battery might drive you crazy. But there's a lot of trial and error associated with it. So just tell yourself that you're going to try it. So how can you apply the Pomodoro technique or the Parkinson law in your business right now? How can you hold yourself accountable to keeping your booty in the chair and getting the things done in your business that really move your business forward? I told my team to put a little post on their computer that said booty in the chair, and they know that means they set aside a power hour every day, or they set aside a time in their business where they are sitting down and focusing on the activities that are actually going to move their business forward. And I guarantee you, if you do that every day, you are going to see some momentum building in your business. So I want to give you some some closing tips here. Mastermind partners. I'm not sure if you have one or not, but when you're thinking about successful habits that you can have in your business, one of the best things I ever did in my business was find a mastermind group. And these were coaches who were ahead of me in my business in a lot of ways. Not always, but they had things situated in their business, whether it be rank or income or skill set, where they were ahead of me. And so I want to encourage you to make it a goal of yours to find some mastermind partners. And I say this in love, but we cannot expect our upline or our sponsor to be that for us for our entire journey. It just won't be as beneficial for you. I promise you that. Your sponsor will be there to guide you, encourage you, give you some feedback, that kind of stuff, support you. But when it comes to masterminding on the day-to-day, on the regular, on the weekly stuff, you really need success partners to do that with. You really need a mastermind group to do that with. And expect it to be bumpy. Expect people to switch out. Expect people to not follow through, but stick with it. And I promise you, you'll find a good group. And sometimes I encourage my coaches to group up with 3 or 4 people. That way, if one person can't make it that week, it's fine. Like everybody else just kind of keeps going. So work towards getting to a good mastermind partnership with a few other people that should be slightly ahead of you or have strengths that maybe you don't quite have yet in your business. Take another success habit, something that I do every day and something that I learned from both Brendon Burchard and some other professionals, but take 5 to 10 minutes every night or afternoon, whatever works for you, and plan out the next day. Doesn't have to be the whole day, but plan out some of the most important business tasks that you need to see happen in your business, and do it the night before, because that allows you to brain dump. And so remember, when you're brain dumping, you're eliminating that whole monkey mind. You're eliminating the monkey brain where you forget everything else because you have so much crammed in your brain. If you take 5 to 10 minutes, it's really quick to jot down the main projects or main people you want to reach back out to the night before. You'll feel so much more prepared. You'll feel like you can rest at night, and you can start the next day with a fresh perspective and sort of a map of where you want to go. And then the last success habit tip I have for you is to really learn how to self-motivate. And that kind of comes along with, it kind of goes side by side with having mastermind partners. But I want to encourage you guys that and it's so funny because at Superstar Day, Christina Delgado kind of shared this. And it's really true. And I had to work towards this. And so I'm sure a lot of you might have to as well. But we've got to work towards self-motivating. Motivation's got to come from within, because nobody's going to be able to convince you to stick with these business behaviors, because let's be honest, sometimes it's hard and sometimes it's inconvenient, and sometimes we'd rather do X, Y, and Z. So there's got to be some self-motivation that you rely on in order to keep you moving forward and building these success habits. Like, nobody's going to call you tomorrow and say, hey, did you set your timer for 25 minutes to get your invites done? That's got to come from within. And so I want to encourage you to always be a student, to always, hop onto YouTube and look up stuff like tips for self-motivating, or hop on a blog or something and look for a book that was helpful. So always be a student to learn about things that you need to improve on, because we all have those areas that we really, really need to improve in. Mine is leadership, communication, public speaking. Those are the things that I really need improvement on. And so you have those areas too. So I just want to encourage you to be a student, learn how to self-motivate. Of course, that comes with getting really, really clear and certain about what your why is in this business. But I didn't want to say that because most people let that go in one ear, not the other. So just make sure you're really learning how you can become a person that is truly self-motivated. You've got a mastermind group of people that have strengths that inspire you and also keep you accountable. You've got a few techniques in your business like the Pomodoro technique or the Parkinson's law that help you stay on track with time management. And the other thing I wanted to share with you, and I think I shared this template with Megan, so if anybody wants to use it, feel free. But this is, remember I told you guys one of the success tips is to take 5 to 10 minutes each night to plan out your day the next day. This is kind of my rough guideline of how I do that. So I use a half sheet for each day. So this is today, this was yesterday. And I learned this from Brendon Burchard. He's got a free YouTube tutorial on YouTube about, I think it's called, I think it's just called High Performance Productivity. I can't remember, but it's on his channel. And he kind of explains what this chart is. And so I've kind of tweaked it for my own business. And so what this is I have the day, which is the date. I have today's focus. So I like to, before I start the day, I like to jot down what my focus is. What is my most important thing I'm focusing on today? So like right now it's like team encouragement and team, you know, like filling my team up with positivity and support, personal development. So that's just an example. It might be like challenge or follow up, or it might be sharing personal fitness journey. It could be anything. My top row here is I identify 3 projects that I want to get done each day. Like one of them was send out my follow-up emails. Another thing was to add to my new coach training. So you can identify whatever projects you have to get done. The middle row here is all about conversation. So the first little box is people that I need to reach out to. The second box is people that I'm waiting to hear from. So that way when I open my inbox, I'm only looking for these names. I'm not getting lost in the sea of whatever, of emails first. I'll get to those, but not first. Priority are the people who are in this box first. So when I open my email in the morning, I'm only looking for these. It's usually like, I don't know, 5 to 10 names is who I'm looking for. And I answer those emails first. Or send out those emails. And then the last little row here is life priorities. Things like drop off the dry cleaning, or don't forget to get kitty litter, or grab a light bulb, or stuff that the whole monkey mind thing, if you don't write it down, you will probably forget it, and then you will have kitty litter. So, and then I've added a few boxes here for my own personal business that kind of help me stay organized. Just for the sake of this call, I'll read them off. So, sorry. Personal Success Club points, my husband's Success Club points, how many of my coaches are getting Success Club points, 2 people that I want to encourage on my team, and then video brainstorm is just, when you're working and you're answering questions and you're like, oh, that probably would be a good thing to do a video about. So I just jot down the topic there so I don't forget about it. So that's what I use on a daily basis. I've been doing that for about 2 years now. I use that coupled with the Pomodoro technique and the Parkinson's law, and Booty in the Chair, and it really does help me get the most important things done first. So those are my tips for you guys.
Thank you so much, Brittany. That was so valuable. I took a ton of notes, and I cannot wait to start implementing some of these tomorrow. I'm going to open this up for in the chat room. If you guys want to go ahead and start asking questions, Brittany has offered to stick around and answer any questions you might have. But I just want to say, I just read off, Brittany's like litany of achievements. But like one of the the most admirable thing about Brittany is her willingness to share so freely of herself. I think that's really a leader. I mean, you can achieve the ranks and the income and all that stuff. It's really to give like this to the network, to other teams. It's really that's what true leadership is. And I just want to say thank you. That we really do appreciate you spending time with us. So
you're so welcome. You're so welcome. I hope it's helpful. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. It will be. So guys, if you are, feel free to ask any questions. I think I had one question. Let me remember what it was. I know it's sometimes hard to get it going, but anything you want to ask, I'm happy to answer.
I know I had one, but I'll come up with it in a second. But go ahead, anybody, chime in when you're ready.
wanted to share too, if you guys are thinking of questions. I don't know. There's a podcast that I love to listen to too. It's called Entrepreneur on Fire. That helps me learn. Yeah.
Is there one main speaker that interviews somebody, or is it a different?
It's like they rotate like a bunch of different speakers, and it's kind of cool to get out of the, I mean, not like we need to get out of it, but it's kind of nice to have perspective outside of Beachbody with other, high performance professionals, blah, blah, blah. And it's really interesting to see how much of that does pertain to our business and what we can implement in our own business though. So it's kind of nice, like a fresh perspective.
Yes, a couple questions. Do you have that template available? Yes, Claudine. I shared it in the event, but I will also put it on the team page. Brittany provided a few of those slides, plus her what do you call it? Your productivity.
Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about that. I'm sorry. Yeah, so I create. Well, okay, so I'm a pen to paper person, so I passed on to Megan 2 trackers that I made. Actually, I made them with some of my success partners. One of them is an Emerald to Diamond tracker, and one of them is what I call the Stars tracker, and that's what I use every week. And really the focus on both of them is just the Stars one is a little bit more in depth, and the Emerald to Diamond one is kind of like the beginner portion of it. But the focus of the tracker is for coaches to start learning to pay attention to how their team is growing. So team volume, matching bonus, and cold market, meaning like how you're going to basically reach more people, like whatever you want to do. There's no right or wrong way to do it, and at least in my opinion, however you want to do it, whether it's Pinterest or Periscope or Instagram or Like Page, but really starting to pay attention to growing outside of your warm market as an Emerald coach. So that's what those trackers are all about. Let's see. Okay, sorry, I see Jennifer's question here. How do you go about finding a mastermind partner? Is there a good forum for finding someone outside of your team that has worked for you? So, honestly, for me, what's worked best for me is when I was at events, people that I've met in person, or people that I've admired from afar, like on social media, I've seen them growing, or maybe they were sharing different things, or I just kind of follow them on social media, and I picked up that I really admired certain things about them, and I saw that they had a strength maybe that I didn't have. And my first success partners were Lindsay Stay, Brigitte Linford, and Abby Fix. And so we're all at some point on the same team, but just like very different coaches. So for me, it was events that helped me kind of partner up. But you could probably do the exact same thing if you have groups that you're a part of with other coaches. Sometimes what I tell my coaches to do if they're really on the hunt is to kind of put themselves out there, sort of like a dating website, like put themselves out there. What is your lifestyle like? What are your, 30-day goals, 60-day goals? What are your short-term and long-term goals? What are you looking for in a partner? If you're looking to meet every week on Zoom for 30 minutes, or if you're looking to share, collaborate with groups, or kind of share what you're looking to have, and then kind of see if anybody else might be looking for that same thing. You could potentially ask your upline. I think this is a little less successful, just to be completely honest. You could ask your upline, hey, these are my goals. Do you know anybody that you think would be a good fit for me? And I say what I say because I've tried very often to pair people up, but I think people are better judges of who's going to be a good match better than me. But I do try sometimes, and sometimes I have done a successful pairing, but it's not as often. How do you normally divide up your time between inviting new coaches versus nurturing your current coaches, motivating inactive coaches? Oh, that's a good question. So for me, let me see. Okay, so for me, how I do my business is this. I believe very strongly that no matter what level you're at in the business, it's critical for you to prioritize your personal business first, because I do believe that your team will never do what you don't do. Meaning, if you never hit Success Club, you most likely will have a team that doesn't hit Success Club. If you don't add coaches to your team, you most likely will not have coaches who add to the team. So the speed of the leader is the speed of the pack in most cases. So for that reason, I'm very calendar oriented. So the first 2 weeks of the month, I focus on my personal business. I'm inviting to challenge groups. I'm focusing on sharing my own personal progress. I'm like really, meeting new people online, or sending out new invites, or, building new relationships. So the first 2 weeks of the month, I'm laser focused on hitting my own personal goal for Success Club, getting to know new people. And then the second half of the month, I'm focused on encouraging my team. And so in a perfect scenario, I would have my personal Success Club goal met by the 10th or the 15th of the month. So that way, from then on, I can focus on helping my team, providing resources, encouragement, one-on-one call, all that other stuff, which is very important. But it can't. I don't think it can come before your own personal business. Your personal business still has to be priority, and so that's why I set up my month like that. As far as motivating inactive coaches, feel free to disagree with me, but I honestly don't think that's our job to motivate inactive coaches. I believe it's our job as leaders to make it clear that any coach can come to you at any time, whenever they're ready, but you can't be in charge of dragging people or babysitting people or checking in on them. So the way I sort of operate my business is they all stay in the group. I don't kick anybody out of my groups, but sort of our last conversation is more of like, okay, I see that you're inactive, or I see things have maybe changed. Like, is there anything I can help you with? Or, and if they're like, oh no, life's just crazy, I have to save some money or whatever, I usually just end it. I do my best to end the conversation with an open sort of feel of like, okay, I'd love for you to join a challenge group with me whenever you're ready, or hop back into the team whenever you're ready. Just send me a message or tag me when the timing is right for you. So that way it's sort of like an open door policy, but you cannot, especially as your team grows, you cannot be expected to remember and pull along every inactive coach. It's their decision. So that's kind of how I do that. Inviting new coach. Yeah, so that's kind of how I format my month. How do you organize contacts? I spend a lot of time trying to remember who I need to talk to and connect with. So, Alyssa, you might want to look into a CRM. I can't speak from experience because I don't use one, but I know they help a lot of people. So I know there's a few out there. Some of the coaches on my team, like my like third, fourth level coaches, they use this thing called OnePage CRM. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly if that's worth it or not. I know it's a paid service though. I personally use Google Drive. So I use a document on Google Drive, and what I do, my process is usually I'll post on Facebook. Facebook's my hub. So whether it's my personal page or my like page that I'm just sort of like, trial and error at this point, just trying to figure out what works. So I'll post a post on my Facebook, and let's just say it's a challenge group post. And then in the challenge group post, I always refer people to a questionnaire on Wufoo. So they go to Wufoo to fill out the questionnaire. I do that for quite a few reasons, but to keep it brief, for me, it keeps it more professional. It pools all of their information in one spot, and it allows people to share more like vulnerable information with me without feeling like on the spot. So professional, keeps the information organized, and they have an opportunity to share their goals without feeling awkward in a conversation. So then what my process is, so I've got the Facebook page posted up with the Wufoo link. If somebody's interested, they'll go to the Wufoo link and they'll fill out their information. One of my questions on my Wufoo link is, are you already working with a coach? So I think that's very important to maintain integrity in your business, to make sure they're not already working with a coach. But when they fill out that form, I get an email saying, hey, you have a new Wufoo questionnaire filled out. I go to it, make sure they don't have a coach. If they don't have another coach, then I start conversation with them. Once I start conversation with them, their name and their email address goes on my Google Doc. And that's how I keep track of my contacts. That's what I personally do. Let's see, am I leaving anything out? Oh, and then so in the Google Docs on the bottom, you can have tabs. And you can Google that. I'm sure there's a tutorial on it. But that way you can have just one Google Doc, and then you can have a tab for every month. So September, October, November. And then that way in September, if you had a bunch of people that you were talking with, but maybe they didn't get back to you, or maybe they had a price ejection, or maybe they were like, life just got crazy, can you check back with me in October? You can simply copy and paste their information from September to October. And so they're not on a post-it pad that who knows ended up where. They're in one spot that you can access from wherever you are. So that's what I do right now.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
I know other free options are Evernote and Asana. And I have watched a couple great videos. If you go to YouTube, and there are some Beachbody coaches, some very successful coaches who share how they use it. I think Andrea Crowder does Asana, and I watched a video just like in amazement at how organized it could be.
Like, wow.
I was like, oh, that'll never be me. But you can find access. These are good questions, guys.
Yeah.
I know, Jen McNeil, I found I went through a few success partners. It's hard to find that right match, but I know it was in a group, just like Brittany was mentioning. Sarah Lenore was in this, Christine Dwyer has like something superstar connection or whatever for like a certain level and up. And so she reached out kind of like online dating. I'm looking for this X, Y, and Z. And I chimed in like, hey, is that me? So that worked out very well. So, and you are now in the Northeast region leaders because you're, 3-star. So you might find others at your level.
Yeah.
That could be an option. But, there are, like she was saying, other groups. So you could reach out in that way.
Yeah.
Anything else? Is your hubby home? I heard the garage door open.
Yeah. Yay.
Perfect timing.
Yep.
Okay, guys, we'll go ahead and close this up. Once again, Brittany, we really appreciate you sharing your time with us this evening. No doubt we all learned a lot, and I can bet a lot of us are going to put little Post-its that say booty in our chair. I'm going to do that. I'm going to take a picture of mine, share with the team. Booty and chair is going to be on my computer, my laptop.
I love it.
And I'm going to be printing up these forms and implementing them tomorrow. So again, we are very fortunate to have heard from you this evening. So everyone, good night. Thanks so much for showing up, and thanks again, Brittany.
Bye. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.